Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back to Prime Edition. It's time for us to shift from the studios to Kabete for the shift. Today, my colleague Regina Manyara is hosting the Principal Secretary for Livestock, and the pictures on the screen are coming live from Kabete. And today they'll be discussing livestock sector transformation, 2.5 years scorecard. And she will be handling your questions. Talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. When we return, Betty Kiptom is already with us in studio for the business news, and Bernardo Kochokumu will be bringing you the sports news. Over to you, Regina.
Thank you very much, Chuma Odim, for that particular, introduction. Indeed, we're coming to you live from the Kenya Veterinary Board headquarters here in Nairobi. This is a board that is mandated to provide general supervision and oversight of business, as well as training and employment of veterinary surgeons and para-professionals in the country. It also advises government on those matters thereof. And what a better location when we are discussing matters of livestock. So it is about 2.5 years since the rollout of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. So tonight we shift the focus to the livestock sector. It has had its fair share of challenges, from climate change to emerging diseases, not forgetting the challenge of pasture and the cost of competition from other source markets. The plan is to vaccinate animals, sparked its own challenges, but the government remains keen on increasing contribution of the livestock sector to GDP from the current 12% to 20%. Are we on target? So joining us tonight is none other than Principal Secretary in charge of Livestock, that is Jonathan Mueke, to tell us more on this progress in the sector. I am Regina Manyara, and you are watching The Shift. So thank you very much, PS, for making time.
You're most welcome.
Now we also have questions that we have posed to our viewers, and let me just sample the big questions so they can give us your feedback, and we're going to sample in the course of this particular live broadcast. First, what do you know about the government's livestock vaccination program? Secondly, do you support the government's livestock vaccination program? We'll be sampling your views in the course of this particular live broadcast. Now, Bona PS, thank you for making time. Have you ever reared any animal for profit, PS?
Yes, I have.
Aha. 1, 2, what breed? What was it?
I did goats.
What is it? You did goats?
I did goats at some point in my life, but it was not mainly for profit commercially. It was a hobby.
It was a hobby?
Yeah.
What was your experience?
It's difficult. You need the knowledge. Extension services are extremely important. You could make losses very quickly if you don't understand disease control. So it's a science.
It's a science. Do you still rear goats, or did you quit somewhere along the way?
I quit somewhere along the way because I got busy doing other things. But as soon as life evens up a little bit, I plan on going back.
You'll go back to it.
Yeah.
So how easy was it to get, a qualified, veterinary doctor?
Earlier, it was quite easy, and then extension services kind of went away. So now they are scattered all over the place. But we do have quite a few programs to ensure that this can come back to our farmers. And especially now we're embracing technology to do that linkage between the farmer or the livestock keeper and the animal health assistant and the vet and the agrovet that keeps the veterinary food, the animal food, livestock food, and all of that.
That is good, because in a gazette notice by the Kenya Veterinary Board, it indicates that it has asked all the relevant registers should be ready for inspection to confirm the particulars as entered therein, and allow for the registered persons to notify the board of any anomalies. Anyone in this particular value chain has up until the 31st of March 2025, failure to which they will be deemed not to be registered under the Act. What is your opinion on this move?
Well, it's law. The veterinary sector is very highly regulated. Because of the work, of course, the vets do in animal health. And if we don't take care of disease control, they also have a public health aspect to it. We call them zoonotic diseases, diseases that move from animals to humans. So it's a fairly regulated field, just like human medicine. And so we do have the Veterinary Surgeons and Veterinary Paraprofessionals Act that says you have to register by the end of the year, or you have to renew your license by the end of the year, and also new vets coming in register. Where we are here at the Kenya Veterinary Board is the state corporation, which is under the State Department for Livestock, that is responsible for doing this registration. And by around this time in March, they have to publish by law all the vets and paravets who have been registered, so that the public can be able to go and see if the person who's coming to look after their animals is actually registered with ourselves.
And that sets the tone for tonight's conversation, the ongoing and national vaccination campaign.
Yes.
Why was it important at that particular time to embark on this campaign?
Regina, you realize the Kenya Kwanza administration is in an economic transformation era. We've had different administrations with different priorities. Some have to do with constitutionalism, others with democracy, others with independence. Our administration is about economic transformation. What is it that we can do as government to create that environment where our citizens thrive? Our citizens have jobs, our citizens have money in their pockets, our citizens are healthy. And that's really what this government is about. So for me, in the livestock sector, with people that we work with, have also come up with programs that are very intentional on commercializing this livestock sector.
Good. Now, do you perform outreach programs to your target? And this primary target, I think, are livestock keepers. Do you have outreach programs to tell them, hey, this is what we have in the can?
Absolutely, we do. You know, livestock is devolved, so we work very closely with the county governments. And each county government for disease control has a county director of veterinary services who implements the policies that are done at the national level from the national director of veterinary services. But Regina, you asked me a question. Why?
Good question. Why?
Yeah.
Yes, tell us why.
Why are we doing disease control? It's because we realized to be able to compete globally and to commercialize our livestock sector, to be able to ensure that our livestock keepers are able to do business with their animals and not just keep them for fun like I used to, so that they can create a job for themselves, we needed to do a few things. The first one was nutrition. We have to ensure that our animals are able to get the nutrition that they need so that they can be able to grow to the weights that are needed by the market. The second one is, of course, disease control. No market, both locally or internationally, will want to consume your livestock or your livestock products if that cow or the goat or the chicken is sick. So we have to make sure that our animals are healthy. And how do you control diseases? By vaccinating. Yeah. Then the third one, of course, is breed improvement. We've kind of previously let go of our breeding programs. So there's been inbreeding, and that has degenerated our breeds a little bit. So we are now consciously running breed improvement programs at the national level, of course working with the counties to ensure that we can increase the productivity for our livestock keepers. Why did we do this? Is since we knew we needed to commercialize our livestock, we started by going to the end of the value chain, to the market.
Yeah.
What does the market want? If you're in business, you won't be doing any business if you don't have a buyer for your product.
You do a feasibility.
Yes. So we went to the market. We did route to market studies for our priority value chains, which is leather, which is red meat and dairy. And the market told us very clearly that we have good potential as a country to commercialize our livestock sector, but we need to produce in good quality with the quantities that are needed by the markets and consistently. And that's why we went back and looked at, okay, what is our quality? And across the board, we found that we are vaccinating somewhere between 10 and 15% of our animals. Now, and that's when we came up with a decision and a policy as government that we are going to vaccinate north of 85% of our animals so that we can control disease and make a point to the market that we are very very serious on food safety, which then allows us to trade and to be competitive.
Good. That sounds good, palatable. You know, from a business point of view, from a country point of view, when you're talking about food security and food sovereignty. But then when this particular national campaign was being rolled out in January, there was a lot of noise.
Fake
Where
news.
are we? Yes, so there's a lot of misinformation.
Those fake news?
Yes, those. How are you handling
propaganda?
that? Yes, how are you handling that? We had all manner of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the propaganda came from some politicians who felt that this program was so impactful because it was going to touch almost 90% of the households that keep livestock. Livestock vaccination is not a new thing. It happens all the time. It's just that a lot of our livestock keepers also sometimes can't afford or get access to the vaccines. So the Kenya Kwanza administration sat back and thought, wait a minute, we have been subsidizing crops all this time. We subsidize sugar, we subsidize fertilizer, we subsidize coffee and tea. When are we going to give subsidies to our livestock people?
Are these vaccines subsidized?
Correct, they are subsidized. And so His Excellency the President made a decision that, listen, as part of a livestock subsidy program, so that we can give access to these critical trade sensitive vaccines to our livestock keepers, we're going to be able to come up with a product where we can help out our farmers to access vaccines at almost no cost. Actually at no cost for the first year.
For the first year.
So it was a subsidy program by the national government so that we can reach a lot of our farmers.
Now it is subsidized vaccines for the first year of this particular program. But the question is, what is the source of these vaccines? Because that has been quite debatable. So tonight, this is a platform. Where are we sourcing these vaccines from?
We source the vaccines locally, produced by our local scientists in one of our vaccine production institutes. It's a state corporation called KVVAPI, Kenya Veterinary Vaccines Production Institute. It's been making this particular vaccine since the 1960s. Yeah.
Right.
We make them not just for local consumption, but also for export. And currently we're exporting to almost 12 or so countries around the world who actually give us feedback that our vaccine is of a superior quality. There has been no evidence at all that our vaccine is harmful to our animals. And it is absolutely not true that we were importing these vaccines for ulterior motives of harming our livestock. Again, like I said, that was fake news. It was propaganda just to make sure that the naysayers in this country who don't want government programs to succeed didn't want us to get into people's homes. But what did we do about the outreach? Of course, we went out and told Kenyans the truth. But at some point we said, listen, the people who really go out there to vaccinate the animals are the scientists, are the veterinary doctors. And we sent out our veterinary doctors to go out and clear the air as scientists to say, really, vaccines don't go into your DNA to change your genetics. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. It doesn't happen with humans. It doesn't happen with animals.
So on the
and
same
that helped
breath,
quite a bit.
yes, on the same breath, there
Yes.
was a conversation. And
Yes.
Lincoln, I'd want you to take this particular opportunity to clear the air, since
Yes.
we're here to clear the air.
Yes.
Is there a correlation between livestock and greenhouse emissions? Because there was that conversation around the campaign when it started. So where do we stand?
Yes, there is a correlation.
Yeah.
Livestock do emit greenhouse gases, methane to be specific, but there's many ways to be able to control that. It's a climate change issue.
Yeah.
You can control it by really the feeding program. It is not very prevalent in our neck of the woods in this part of the world because our production system is more extensive. So we are not confined somewhere in a farm producing intensively our livestock. Our livestock is all over in the rangelands going around. So the impact on the climate is actually very minimal. But there's many ways you can reduce those greenhouse gases. And being a country that is very climate action oriented, we are doing all we can to improve the feeds and other things to ensure that we can reduce the methane gases. But this propaganda went away, which
did?
was quite an eye-opener for us when we actually started the program.
Okay.
We went out and launched the program at the end of January in Laikipia, like we said we would as government. And then from there, we went to Garissa and to Mandera and to Wajir. And what we saw, Regina, was quite interesting, that we did not have to go and look for the livestock keepers. They came looking for us because they figured out that they'd suffered enough and they knew their animals needed these vaccines. So we went to the markets and the livestock keepers brought their animals, which told us one thing, that some of these people who are talking about all these stories that this is bad, that they probably are seated somewhere on a sofa set in the city and don't own any livestock.
All right. Now, erratic weather patterns, and droughts disrupt vaccination schedules and increases disease risks. What is the way forward? As you ponder on that, PS, let's take a quick commercial break just to remind you that we're coming to you live from the Kenya Veterinary Board headquarters here in Nairobi, and the conversation is around to what has been the inroads that the livestock sector has made, what is still in store. We're just looking at the scorecard, 2.5 years. Get us on X at KBC Channel 1. You can be part of this conversation. For now, we take that quick breather. We'll be right back.
Kupitia star 570 hash tunakupa nafasi ya kuchomoka na this beautiful Mazda Demio.
Enjoy a beautiful, clean, semi-leather interior, low mileage, fuel-efficient 1300cc engine, great for personal use and business.
Ukitaka kujishindia gari hii, kucheza ni rahisi sana. Chukua simu yako, bonyeza star 570 hash, chagua option 3. And for only 35 shillings, hii gari inaweza kuwa yako. Kumbuka kucheza mara kadhaa, because the more you play, the higher chances of wewe kuwa mshindi.
Mungu ni mwema, asante Mungu. Ile nitakuwa naendesha hivi.
Dial star 570 hash and make this dream car yours.
Amani ziwe juu yake, akizidisha juhudi katika ibada katika hii kumi hili la mwisho katika mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhan. Ishhada an-nabii fauka ma kana yajtahidu fi ghayriha, alikuwa akizidisha juhudi ambazo alikuwa hazifanyi katika miezi mingine.
Moja katika faida ambazo Waislamu wanaweza pata katika kumi la mwisho la mwezi wa Ramadhan ni kupatikaniwa na usiku wa Lailatul.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahman.
Welcome back. This is The Shift, and tonight you're looking at the livestock sector just 2.5 years in. What are the hits and misses? And our guest is none other than Principal Secretary in charge of Livestock, Jonathan Mueke. So before we took a quick break, the question was, how are you reaching those livestock farmers in far-flung areas when it comes to matters of vaccination?
Regina, there's no part of this country that's not governed. We have the national government administration. They've been integral in helping us reach farmers. We have the county governments who have the entire structure up to the ward administrators. The national government structure goes all the way into the nyumba kumi. So every 10 houses in this country has some sort of leadership, and there's village elders, all the way up to the county commissioners. So we have a very good structure in which we can reach every single Kenyan to provide services to them, to reach them in terms of in times of disaster as well, be it a flood or a drought or any other kind of emergency. So in terms of reaching our livestock keepers, that's
reaching them.
That's not an issue. Actually, now our issue, because this program is so impactful, our issue now is, are we able to produce vaccines fast enough?
Good question. So since January, how many vaccines have been administered, and what was your target?
We were able to do about 3.7 million vaccines in 2024. We sent a few 100,000 vaccines to Laikipia, the same to the north as we did that. And now we are just taking stock of that pilot to ensure that we can be efficient enough so that we can continue with the program. Like I said, the demand is pretty good, and it's sending very strong signals to our markets in terms of trade, where now other markets who demand our meat, our milk, our eggs are beginning to say Kenya now is serious about food safety, and we should be able to go and order more products from them, which again
is a
like
good
I
thing
say,
for us.
it's always a good thing. And because we've now been able to take care of those market issues, our focus has shifted to production.
Now we will pick it up from there. Let's find out from Kenyans if they are aware of this particular vaccination program. So that has been our question tonight. What do you know about the government's livestock vaccination program? Do you support the government's livestock vaccination program? Now let's have a quick look at what Kenyans from various walks of life had to say about this particular program.
The launch of nationwide vaccination campaign for all livestock in the country against foot and mouth disease targeting cattle, sheep and goats has elicited mixed reactions among livestock farmers. So what is the government doing to reach its target and improve livestock sector? Or are livestock farmers misinformed? My name is Khalid Abdullahi, and this is your take.
Vaccination ile ya mwisho tulisikia ilikuwa foot and mouth na mambo ya rinderpest, lakini ilikuwa ya kitambo. Hivi karibuni hatujawahi kusikia.
Hatujapata public participation, hatujapata mafunzo mzuri tukiwa sisi wananchi kujua kwamba madhara ya hii dawa au usuri ya hii dawa. Kwa hivyo tunataka kujua sana, sababu kawaida tunajua tu ile dawa kawaida inadunga ng'ombe.
Watu wa kwetu wengi hao wajasoma, hawaelewi wakati gani mnyama anafaa kutibiwa ama matibabu ile atapaona ya kiasi gani.
Tunapeleka ng'ombe Laikipia kaunti mpaka Lomburuti kwenda kutafuta soko, kwa sababu soko yetu mingi imeharibika hapo kwa sababu ya mara hiyo ya security.
Wakati inakuwa affected inasimamishwa kabisa na veterinary, kwamba hakuna no sell, no markets. Alafu sasa tunateseka bila kupata chakula na ama kuuza wanyama ili watushughulikie.
Well, there you have it. That is what Kenyans have to say about the questions that we posed to them, and they set the conversation for us. Picking up one of them is the issue of access to markets for their products. They're having a challenge locally. And what are you doing, as a ministry to address this issue? Markets locally, as well as are there plans to expand into other markets, other than the Middle East? Let's start with that reaction first. Yeah. For beef especially.
Excellent. Thanks, Regina. It's very refreshing to hear what the Wananchi say about our sector. For us as an industry, as a ministry, we always listen to the Wananchi because they're the ones we serve, and we have to ensure that we enable them to continue with their trade. The livestock sector has been largely unstructured. It's not as structured into cooperatives like the dairy sector or the coffee and the tea sector, where producers come together, they buy inputs together, lower the price of the cost of production, and have marketing agencies to give them access to the market. So we did realize that was a challenge, because now we are intentionally trying to commercialize or have embarked on commercializing the livestock industry. So we advised the president to create for us a dedicated livestock marketing board. The president listened, he saw the need, and on January 14th this year, he appointed a chair and board of directors for a livestock marketing board, whose job now is to go out and put farmers together into producer organizations. What that does is it makes sure that the farmers are producing the right quality that's needed by the market, go on the market side and ensure that both locally and internationally we understand what it is the market wants so that we are producing for the market. That's why earlier before the break I had mentioned that our focus now has shifted to production because we understand very clearly what the market wants. Now we have to produce for the market.
Producing for the
why
market.
you're seeing the farmers there saying that they are having a problem accessing the market is because they've been unstructured and there's that missing link where they really don't know what it is the market wants. So if the market says they want a cow that weighs 350 kilograms and you're producing a cow that weighs 200 kilograms, it's not going to be.
The market is shut down.
It's not going to be
is closed
absorbed.
for you.
Yeah, so you have a market failure.
Market failure.
So I think this marketing board that is only now 2 months old, which just got resourced yesterday, or was it today when the president signed into law a supplementary
Yes,
tool,
there was a
you will
supplementary.
begin to see a lot of focus on the market.
Okay.
And when you look at the market, it's many things. It's not just delivering meat or meat products
It's
to
also
the market.
quality.
Yeah, you have to do your
And that has
branding
also-
right.
Yes.
You have to get your quality right. You have to figure out the logistics. How are you going to get your product to the market? You have to figure out pricing. It's demand and supply, so you have to be competitive on the international market. You have to figure out what are the trade barriers, if any. There's a whole lot of things that
and they want
are
us to
going
address
do
it one by
that
one.
have never been done in the livestock
From the
sector,
feedback,
but
from-
now we are doing them.
Now we're doing it.
Yes.
Now, from the feedback we've heard from Kenyans here, they're also worried that banditry or matters of security are hampering traceability efforts.
Yes.
There were plans to tag animals as we are doing the vaccine.
Yes.
Is this still the plan?
That is still the plan. We have been on this journey for a while. I'm happy to report to Kenyans that we actually have a breakthrough. And as we speak, Kenya's first animal identification and traceability system called AniTrack is currently under development. And we will begin piloting with our own government farms at the beginning of April. So in just
April this year?
Yes, in another
Alright.
2 or so weeks, we'll begin to do that. AniTrack is going to do about 3 things for us. Number one, it's going to ensure that we have food safety. So you can have that traceability you are talking about. You'll be able to tag an animal, register the animal to a specific owner, monitor the animal's life cycle in terms of the health. So has it been vaccinated? What breed is it? How has it been developing through birth all the way to when you go to harvest it or you take it for slaughter? So that will be able to track that. The second thing is going to be able to do trade. It opens up your trade because now in a lot of the markets, especially the international markets, even the local markets, you're hearing consumers now are beginning to ask, where is this food item from? Can you trace it to the farm?
Yes.
So that will also do traceability. But I think for me, the most exciting thing about AniTrack is now it enables the livestock keeper to have an asset that they can collateralize.
Nice.
Now, a bank can know that so and so in this farm in Samburu has this many cows that are verifiable, and we can reach them, and this is the history of those cows. Therefore, they could come to the bank and borrow against those cows. Of course, it helps with
helps in all that.
illegal movement of animals.
Yes,
So
banditry.
it is not just a traceability or an identification system. It's also a traceability. It's also a tracking system. So it will have RFID technology that you will be able to monitor movement of any tracked animal around the country, and that will curb illegal movement of animals, bringing cattle rustling as we know it to a standstill.
We hope so. Then the African Continental Free Trade Area has been operational, but we're still seeing significantly that Kenya is not tapping into this, especially in as much as matters of livestock are concerned. What is holding Kenya back?
Nothing is holding Kenya back. What we've been talking about today is being able to produce for the market.
Yeah.
our president has been very deliberate in opening up markets, not just the Africa Free Trade, Continental Free Trade area, but we also have, in addition to our EAC market, you saw the president opened up the Economic Partnership Agreement with the Europeans, which gave us access to 27 European countries with a joint GDP of almost 20 trillion euros. Also opened up the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement with the UAE, the first economic agreement of the UAE with a mainland African country, which is Kenya, and it gives us access to that market as well. We are at an advanced stage, very advanced stage. We've actually completed the agriculture chapter of the strategic trade and investment partnership with the United States. Again, a first between the United States and a single African country. What does this mean? It has given our products and our services quota-free and duty-free access into almost 50% of the global GDP. So the door has been opened. But these markets come with standards. You just cannot export anything into those markets. Right. So they have food safety standards. They have standards in terms of all sorts of things, depending on what it is that you're exporting. For us in the food sector, it's food safety standards, traceability standards.
Yes.
So unless you meet those standards, while the door has been opened, you have no products to push through that door. And that's why, again, I said we are moving back to production to make sure we can produce what the market demands. If you don't do that, you're doing no trade, you're doing no commerce, and you will just be growing these animals for fun.
For fun, and we don't want to do it for fun. So
no,
then, from where,
to do them to improve livelihoods.
Please, yes, that's what we all want. Now, we're looking at, as you said, with those partnerships that we have gotten into. Then, is Kenya still going to be pushing for, an extension of AGOA, that is the AGOA partnership? We were doing that in the last regime with the Joe Biden regime to 2041. Is that still in the offing?
No, we are moving to the STIP.
Or are we okay?
No, we are moving to the STIP, which is the Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership with the US. Like I said, we are almost at the tail end of getting that done. We have strategically, as a country, picked the value chains that we think we can get the most impact from quickly. And so this administration has prioritized the dairy sector, the leather sector, and the red meat sector.
Dairy, all right.
And in the dairy sector, I can tell you we've made a lot of progress in terms of even paradigm shifts. You can recall just a few weeks ago, we were running a safe milk campaign where we were telling our consumers, listen, don't just go and get milk straight from the cow. It could have diseases that can move from the milk of the cow to yourself. So when consumers are aware about the kind of food they are consuming, they can make the right choices. So that you're not taking milk that has aflatoxin or excess bacteria and all of that. And that has made government shift its policy from volume-based pricing to quality-based pricing.
I like where
milk.
You've taken us to the prices, and just today we had a supplementary budget approved to have new KCC mop up excess milk.
Yes, 700 million.
700 million.
Yes.
How then will this affect, the prices? We are headed to the long rates. How is this likely to affect the prices? It
doesn't affect the prices. What this fund does, and it's something that the process has actually asked for. So for us to be able to transform the dairy sector, we came up with a 6-point plan. And the dairy sector has had times where there is too much milk, so the prices go down. Yeah. So the farmers have a lot of milk, but get very low money for their milk. Yes. So they suffer. Then we have points in drought where there's not enough milk and the prices go very high. So again, the prices are very high, which is good for the farmer, but they don't have the milk. Yes. So again, they suffer. So they asked us to come up with what we call a stabilization fund, where we are able to mop up milk at a good price, even when there's a glut, turn that milk into powder, and then be able to release it back into the market when we have a deficit. That stabilizes the prices, and the farmer ensures that they don't get any loss.
Now, Piers, on that same note, there's a directive, to have, farmers sell their produce at least 50 shillings a litre. But some cooperatives are not doing so. In your capacity, how are you ensuring that this farmer actually gets the rightful, earns what they require, what is needed in this particular capacity?
It's really the beauty of demand and supply. Yeah. If we are able to get our state cooperative, KCC, as government policy to buy milk at 50 shillings, the neighbor who's buying from a different cooperative at 40 shillings is going to move and start selling their milk to KCC. So you have the market correct itself. But quality-based pricing takes care of all these issues. Because what quality-based pricing does is it looks at the butterfat content, it looks at the protein content of your milk, and we are saying we need you to give us more butterfat content, more protein, so that we can not just harvest milk for drinking, but we can add value to our dairy by producing butter and cheese and yogurt at much higher margins, which puts again more money into the pockets of our farmers. So we are saying value addition.
Value addition.
And quality-based payment encourages value addition. So the better quality milk you bring, the more money you get, because that quality milk will be used to make cheese, which is 10 times more expensive than milk, and the margins are higher, so the processor can pay more money for the milk. So some of our people, and I was in Kandara the other day with the Kenya Dairy Board visiting us vendors who have completely automated and moved to quality-based payment, and they told us they are seeing the farmers are producing more, the higher the quality is better, and they are paying up to 70 shillings a litre for the better quality milk. So it's an incentive throughout the entire industry. And we learned this when we visited India. It works pretty well, and I'm glad to see that so far almost 30% of our processors have agreed to work with us on the journey of the quality-based payment, and we think by June we'll have gotten to about 50%.
Now we're talking about producing quality. Are there plans to subsidize animal feeds, because that takes a large chunk of operational costs?
We're doing quite a few subsidies, but they have been they've been a little incoherent, and we've not tracked them very well. And this is where, again, we're embracing technology. So we have sat down with Safaricom, and we saw their success in the fertilizer program by issuing an e-voucher system to distribute fertilizers, subsidized fertilizer to our farmers. So we sat down with them and asked them to develop for us a system in which we can deliver subsidies. So vaccination subsidy, breed subsidy through artificial insemination, feed subsidy of animal feeds, because we usually subsidize even the pasture and the seeds to grow the animal feed, subsidy to do the anitrack if need be, and also any other subsidy that we might want to send out to the farmer.
Do we have timelines?
Yes, we do. I actually this morning was able to see a demo of the system. It is complete, and we have agreed to pilot it next week in Baringo County. Wow. So our teams will be in Baringo County next week, being able to do that. What this will do, using technology to solve the problem that you saw our farmers saying that I can't access the market, that I don't know about the vaccination system. Now through this Mifugo system that Safaricom has developed for us, we will be able to reach the farmer on their mobile phone. And we'll be able to tell them, we'll solve the farmers that we just saw from Samburu who said we don't even know when to vaccinate our animals. Now we will be able to push an SMS to them and tell them your animal was vaccinated 6 months ago, it's time to go and vaccinate it, and here's an e-voucher to go and get your vaccination subsidy, go and redeem it from your nearest chief's camp on Tuesday next week. So we're using technology to solve a lot of the problems that have plagued the livestock industry.
Next week we'll be keeping tabs on what happens on ground from Baringo County.
Are we welcome? You need to come and accompany our teams to Baringo County and be on site.
We will be there.
Absolutely.
Now, farming is not considered, a business by a majority of the young people, and let alone livestock farming, How will you change this narrative? A majority of them this is what my grandfather used to do. How are you changing that narrative?
Money.
Oh, wow. I like the sound of that.
The young people also want to make money. And once we are able to have these interventions where they can clearly see a path that you will invest this amount of money and you will be able to get a return on investment in this amount of time, you will begin to see that our very young, smart Gen Zs do their mathematics very quickly. And they'll be able to say, listen, I'm in this venture or in this job and I'm not getting this kind of return for honey or for leather or for dairy or for meat or even for eggs. And they will be able to come in. Again, using technology to simplify things. Now you've put together a producer organization, you've put them in a feedlot, so everybody knows which animal is in the feedlot because we have tracked them with our AniTrack system, which again is a technology system. And then you have been able to fatten the animals using a feedlot management system so that you know every animal of yours, how much weight it's adding per day, and you're doing this all on your phone. And then with that, there's a marketplace where you're able to be connected to the market. So Farmer's Choice is able to say, this today I need 800 animals of this specification. So you have your animal and you link to the market. And we do the same internationally. That's all the work, again, that our livestock marketing board is going to be able to put together. So our young people with their smartphones, now as they're on TikTok, they can also be rearing their animals and keeping track of them.
Would love to see
and making some good money.
I would like to see that. Would love to see that. So making it more profitable and using technology. Correct. But then where is the land for livestock if a majority of people are buying 1/8 to construct?
86% of this country is arid and semi-arid. That's where the land is. And that's why we keep saying in our livestock sector that northern Kenya and our arid and semi-arid lands, there are about 23 counties, is really the next frontier for economic transformation in this country. We were in Wajir the other day and were able to see huge tracts of land now planting drought-resistant grasses for animal feed. Garissa governor is also very heavily invested in finding investors to go and do that. And the other day, he asked me to see if we can get some of the dairy farmers to go to Wajir, and he'll avail the land for them to plant animal feed for dairy animals. And we got Bio, who's a top processor, and Lato, who's a top processor, to go and visit Garissa, and they've agreed to do a pilot program where they can grow fodder for their dairy farmers, the cooperatives where they buy, or farmers where they buy their milk from processing, all the way from Garissa country. So just by being innovative and being deliberate and intentional, we are able to get into frontiers that we had never gotten into.
But then in light of climate change, as it were, there's the issue of drought in those cells. How are we tackling that? Because we have sometimes drought doesn't just happen in a wink of an eye, you know. We have the forecast, but we still find ourselves losing livestock. Have we come of age, you know, not to lose livestock due to drought?
It's planning. I think the issue we've had with drought in this country is not about the drought itself. It's the lack of planning. So it's very clear now that the drought cycle is probably every 3 or 4 years. Why does it catch us flat-footed every time? Right now, we've had very good rains in the last 3 years. We've had very good pasture for our animals. If you go and ask any of the livestock keepers who keep their livestock for commercial reasons, they are probably getting the best prices that they've gotten in a long time. And what have we done with all this pasture that is abundantly available right now? You find countries like, or a state like Calgary in Canada, where it snows for almost 9 months of the year, and yet they say they are very, very vibrant in livestock production. It's because in the 3 months where they are able to grow their pasture, they grow it properly with very high productivity, and then they harvest it and they store it. So we have also now, as government, come up with a feedlot policy, which we have completed 3 feedlots as a pilot. Baringo, where I told you we are going next week, which is Chemogoch, Meru, Kibiro, and Hadado and Wajir. And with the feedlotting system, we should be able now to have pasture grown in the feedlots and also have communities grow the pasture in their smaller pieces of land, however smaller they are, knowing that they have market for the same into the feedlot.
Okay.
And when the droughts hit, then the animals can come from the homesteads into the feedlots where we have stored enough hay or fodder or feed for the animals, and the animals can be fed.
Okay.
So while there'll be a drought, we won't be able to lose any animals.
Now, we have a question
really
from a viewer here
policy.
In regard to drought. They say, at times after a long drought, then the rain set in, there is usually a rise in animal pests and diseases. How is the ministry dealing with this?
A rise in animal?
Yes, whenever there's a long drought, then the rain set in, there's usually a rise in animal pests and diseases. How is the ministry dealing with this?
Vaccination.
There you have it. That is Judith who had posed that particular question. Well,
vaccination, yes, we get attacked, especially with Rift Valley fever and diseases like that. But if you vaccinate, then your animals won't get sick.
All right. So as we bring this to a close, on a scale of 1 to 10, 2.5 years of, sitting at that helm, so to speak, driving the agenda under better when it comes to revitalizing the livestock sector, how many, at what percentage, or rather on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate yourself?
We've made some good progress in terms of our scale. Based on the set targets, I think we are on course. We've seen our dairy increase quite a bit, from 755 million liters per year. I think we are now getting to 1 billion liters of processed milk. We have also gotten the prices up from 37 shillings to about 50 shillings in the dairy sector, so that has been pretty good. We've more than doubled our export from about 4.9 billion. I think now last year we hit about 9 billion shillings of export of our milk. So we are happy with that sector. On the red meat sector, we've made tremendous progress in the goats and sheep, especially to the Middle East, where 85% of our meat goes to. We were with the ambassador of Iran sometime about a month or 2 ago, and we saw that the balance of trade now is in Kenya's favor because of our meat exports to Iran. So that has been going pretty well. In the beef sector, we still have some work to do on the production side of it. We are not even producing enough for local consumption, leave alone for export. So I think with our new feedlot system, which we are now beginning to pilot, we should be able to bring up the beef sector. Leather sector is what I'm probably as PS most excited about.
All right.
We are building a new leather district, brand new leather district in a place called Kenanie in Machakos County. It is now almost 90% complete. I inspected it today. We have, as a government subsidy again, built 4 factories that the private sector can come in and invest. We have built a common effluent treatment plant, which is the most expensive infrastructure in setting up a leather factory. What that does is it's able to clean all the chemicals from the water that leather processing takes out as waste, which is why we've had most of our tanneries closed by the environmental regulator, NEMA, because of putting out effluent full of dangerous, hazardous chemicals that come from the processing of leather. We have already 36 investors who have said they want to come in and manufacture at Kenanie finished leather goods. So very, very soon, probably as early as next year, we'll be making all our security boots, industrial gloves, belts, bags, wallets, and school shoes from Kenanie. And the other day, the deputy president mentioned that Gucci and Armani and Louis Vuitton have an interest to come and manufacture from here. And Kenyans thought he was joking. I'd like to tell Kenyans.
Is that true, or
he was
was it
not
just
joking. We have been to Italy. We've met with the Italian Tanners Association, and they have assured us that if we can complete Kenania to the standard that we are saying we are going to complete it to, and which I can be of testament, it's getting there, they are going to come and manufacture their leather here for export back to around the world. So lots of exciting things.
Yes.
Things happening.
So Pierce, I want to take you back to the fraction. Out of 10, how do you rate yourself?
We are at 8%. 8 out of 10.
All right.
We're at 8 out of 10.
I think that's 80%.
On target.
On target.
On target to what we set out to do. We've still got lots of work to do. One of them, of course, is our milk cooler program, which is almost a year late because of delay in funding, but the funding has now been found, and we will be distributing 230 milk coolers to over 41 counties around the country. So a lot of the milk producers are waiting for that because a lot of their milk is getting bad due to lack of milk coolers that helps bring the temperature of milk down and keeps the milk safe.
We'll be keeping tabs on the 8 out of 10. That is 80%. Those are 2 years and a half in. We have 2.5 to go. So we'll be keeping tabs. So tonight we have been looking at the hits and misses of the livestock sector at a time when government is working to have this particular sector contribute 20% to the GDP, currently contributing around an estimated of 12%. And our guest has been none other than Principal Secretary in charge of Livestock, none other than Jonathan Mueke. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your feedback. We have really enjoyed having you on our social media platforms. You can continue being part of this conversation. You can get us on X at KBC Channel 1. We always do this every Tuesday as we focus on the government's score when it comes to its duration of, or rather tenure of 2 years and a half. I'm Regina Manyara. I wish you a pleasant evening ahead. Just to remind you that we were coming to you live from the Kenya Veterinary Board right here in its headquarters. And this is a board that is mandated to even look at matters of quality when it comes to animal health quality, as well as the employment of veterinary surgeons and paraprofessionals in the country, advising government on those matters. It's a wrap. I hand you back to normal programming at broadcast.